Yes, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think the key to development, whether it's human development, whether it's the economic development, infrastructure development, is investment.
Sure.
And the investment money, most of it, I mean, we talk about aid, we talk about other things, loans, but I think the biggest source of investment money in any country is its own savings rate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that Pakistan has suffered from underinvestment is because the savings rate, domestic savings rate in the country has been very low.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it's only about 13-14%. In India, it's about 30%.
Yeah, 26%.
Bangladesh is about 27%. Sri Lanka is like 24%. Now, why is it that they have higher savings rates? There are two reasons. One is that they have greater inequality, meaning that they have a lot of poor people, but they also have very few very rich people who actually are able to save more and invest more. So they have more investment savings rate. The second very important reason is that their dependency ratio is very low, meaning they have a lot more people working than the Pakistanis. And that has to do with what we call the participation rate, the labor force participation rate. When currently Pakistan's labor force participation rate is increasing, the labor force is increasing, the participation rate is increasing. The labor force now in Pakistan is growing at a rate of 3.6%, whereas the overall population is growing at 2.34%. So it is growing faster, the labor force, than the population. So that is called demographic dividend.
That's correct.
Now, what would these people do? You know, when they work, when every home has more than one person working, and there are more workers than there are, children, then what you're going to have is people earning more would probably save more. This is what happened in India and Bangladesh. Their savings rate used to be very low as well. But as their population growth declined, their total fertility rate declined, the number of workers increased, they were able to earn more and save more as a result of it. So that would create an investment pool that Pakistan can then invest in order to develop the schools, the universities, the literacy rate, the healthcare, as well as infrastructure, energy, and those kinds of things. So that's a positive thing about it. Now, there's another thing called employment elasticity. What that indicates is if your growth rate, for every 1% increase in your GDP, how many jobs do you create?
Okay.
So in Pakistan's case, the employment elasticity rate is around 0.7, meaning that for every 1% growth,
there's 0.7 jobs.
There is 0.7% more jobs.
More jobs are created.
This is much higher than India. In India, actually, it's very, very low. It's right now, they're calling it jobless growth. It's actually less than 0.1. For every 1% growth, there is less than 0.1% growth in jobs. And that is because the kind of sectors that you're investing in.
Okay.
The sectors that create a lot of jobs are like construction, infrastructure, is a service area where you have a lot of people working at retail, consumer goods. So in Pakistan's case, that is where the investment is going. That's where the jobs are being created.
Yeah.
And the history, and this is data from the World Bank, from 2000 to 2010, Pakistan created a lot more jobs as a percentage of its population than did India or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. It actually led job growth in that area. So what I'm hoping is that if we can sustain the Pakistani GDP rate to, let's say, about 5% over the next 10 years, 5% growth in GDP, multiply that by 0.7, that is 3.5%. So if we can add 3.5% jobs a year, 3.5% of 60 million, 60 million is the size of our current labor force. 60 million times 3.5% is about 2 million jobs a year. If we can add 2 million jobs a year, that is how many people are going to be joining the workforce
Yeah.
per year over the next 10 years. So I'm hopeful that this is going to work out. Now, if we fall behind on growth rate, if let's say if it falls significantly below 5%, that's a problem. The other issue that we need to worry, the other challenge that Pakistan has to worry about is this ratio of 0.7 to 1 for the employment elasticity can also change. It could go down as it has in India, for example. And it goes down because your sectors such as high tech, if they start to grow, or IT, they take fewer people to grow the economy than construction and those kinds of industries. So then Pakistan would have to grow even faster than 5% if its employment elasticity ratio goes down.
Yeah.
In order to create enough jobs for the population.
Samantar, there was, I was talking to someone and they mentioned that Pakistan's one problem is, and I will go back to Riaz also and ask his view on that, is not quite the joblessness, it is underemployment, not the unemployment, but underemployment, that people, when they get money, it is not enough to run their day-to-day business. How you see that?
Yeah, that is my observation too. And I think that what is happening is that because we do not have, the kind of like a state of fear that exists, and there's still terrorism is a big threat to the country, that we do not have as much investment coming in and new jobs being created, and the economy is still relying on the foreign remittances of people, sending from other countries, that domestically we are not employing people in high-paying jobs. So definitely this is something that I have observed too. How to make this go away, how to change the situation, I do not have a quick answer for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is that, your GDP growth rate depends on the level of investment. And the level of investment depends on your savings.
Savings.
How much your people save, that is the investment pool that goes into the economy. Right?
The GDP.
So if you can increase your savings rate, which is what I think Pakistan will be able to do as a result of more people working as a percentage of the population, and fewer children. Like, the children don't contribute in terms of, there are two categories of people that don't contribute to employment, to work. One is the children that are below the working age, below the age of 16, 18. And then the other pool that you have to worry about is the retirees. So having both of these in larger numbers and fewer workers is a problem. In Pakistan's case, the problem has been that there have been too few workers relative to the, if a home has if there's a household which has only one person working and it has a woman and 4 children, then obviously they can't save a whole lot. But if the situation changes where you have a man and a woman working, and then you have 2 to 3 children, then you can have more earnings, and as a result, you can save more. So that is the situation that is developing in Pakistan now, where there's going to be women are participating more and more in the workforce. The working age population is increasing, and they can now participate in work. They can invest more, and that investment should bring more jobs.
How you see this population growth? How you see it? Is it some kind of matter of concern for Pakistan because of course we have a depleted resources and population growing almost 2.5% per year. So how do you see that?
Yeah, so there have been a lot of headlines recently, particularly in the West, about a disaster in the making.
Okay.
That's the headline. It seemed that disaster is an overused word whenever it has anything to do.
2.5% is high, but I wouldn't call it disaster.
Anything to do with Pakistan, regardless of what the issue is. They've been saying that for at least the last 20, 30 years, that everything is a disaster.
Well,
and so far, Pakistan has actually defied
Yeah, well,
most of these.
Pakistan should be dismantled in 2006 if we believe these Western media.
Yeah. So that's the way it's been going. So let's actually look at the real data rather than talk about, what's a disaster, what's not. But if I were a Westerner looking at the situation, I would be much more concerned about the demographic disaster that is taking place in the West than I would be about Pakistan. And the reason is that the population growth here is now at sub-replacement level. The total fertility rate now, the replacement rate is supposed to be 2.1. In the United States and Western Europe and some of the more developed economies in Asia, the TFR, as it's called, total fertility rate, has gone down below 2. In fact, in some cases, it's well below 2. So I think that's a much bigger disaster because these
so many retirees will be sitting there and they will that's correct.
Aging societies.
That's correct.
And there are more and more retirees and fewer workers who have to basically work to pay the benefits.
That's true.
So the dependency ratio is increasing significantly. Whereas in Pakistan, there is great hope, because their total fertility rate is also coming down. I mean, the same factor that drove the total fertility rate down here also working there, such as, increased development, more education, and more urbanization, all these factors. So currently, Pakistan's total fertility rate is 2.62 babies per woman in 2017. Now, back in 2000, in the year 2000, it was 4.6. So it's a 43% drop. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 43% drop in 17 years. That's a pretty big drop. Now, if you force it, and you try and make it very small like the Chinese did by forcing the policy. One-child policy. That would be a disaster because you know what is happening in China? China has a very low fertility rate now. And now they're trying to increase it and it's very, very difficult. So once you have gone below the sub-replacement fertility rate, it becomes very, very difficult for you to reverse that direction.
I see. Okay. Samantha,